An 18-year-old boy falls in love with his much older teacher. What begins as a hidden, forbidden connection slowly turns into a painful struggle between emotion and reason. This is a bold story of passion, guilt, and choices that change lives forever. Our story begins with a woman named Leela, a 40-year-old English teacher. For years, she had endured physical and psychological abuse from her husband, until one day she finally found the courage to leave him. Determined to start over, she left her old city behind and moved to a quiet, small town where she hoped to live in peace. There, she began working as an English teacher at the local school, believing this new place would give her a fresh beginning. In the same town lives Jason, an 18-year-old boy from a struggling family. His parents worked hard just to survive, and Jason often worried about providing for his younger sister. His family constantly pushed him to focus on school so he could build a better future. But Jason had little interest in academics. Instead, he secretly sold drugs with a group of friends to earn money and help support his family. One day during English class, Leela stood at the front explaining the lesson. Jason sat in the last row, distant and uninterested, barely paying attention. After school, Leela returned home and called her mother to reassure her that she was doing fine. But the truth was very different. She felt deeply lonely in this unfamiliar town with no friends, no family, and no one to truly talk to. The next day, Jason approached Leela after class and asked for help writing a personal essay. When she asked him what topic he wanted to write about, he hesitated and said it was too personal to share. Leela gently reassured him, promising that anything he said would remain strictly between them. Still, Jason refused to open up and quickly walked away.
What can I do for you?
I think I need some help with my personal essay assignment.
Okay, well, have you picked a topic yet?
Personal essays.
If you're worried about who's going to see them, it might guarantee that it's just me.
Get it.
As Leela tried to follow him to understand why he was so resistant, she was stopped by Nancy, the history teacher. Nancy told her not to waste her energy, saying students like Jason never wanted to change. But Leela wasn't convinced. Something about Jason troubled her, and she couldn't ignore it. The following day, while reviewing student records, Leela came across Jason's file. His grades were extremely low in every subject. Seeing this, she decided to give him special attention and try to help him improve. During one class, Leela asked her students to read aloud the poems they had written as homework. When it was Jason's turn, he stood up and read his poem. The words were filled with deep sadness and emotional pain. The class fell silent, and Leela was especially shaken. She could sense that Jason was carrying a heavy burden he had never shared with anyone.
I can hear myself scream.
After class, she approached him and told him how beautiful his poem was. She added that if he focused on his studies the same way he focused on his poetry, he could become someone truly exceptional. Jason felt something he had never felt before: validation. For the first time in his life, someone recognized his talent and believed in his potential. The next day, Andrew, the school's sports teacher, invited Leela out for drinks to escape the stress of work. Feeling isolated and emotionally drained, she accepted. That evening, they drank and danced together at a bar, unaware that Jason was there with his friends. When Jason saw Leela laughing and smiling, he felt happy for her and watched quietly from a distance, a soft smile on his face. The following day, Leela noticed Jason was absent from class. Looking out the window, she saw him wandering around the schoolyard. After school, she asked why he had skipped class. Jason admitted that he didn't like school and felt disconnected from it. Leela then offered to stay with him for an extra 30 minutes every day after school to help him understand his lessons better. Surprisingly, Jason agreed. From that day on, Leela began tutoring him after school. But Jason rarely focused on the lessons. Instead, he found himself captivated by her presence, constantly watching her with quiet admiration. Over time, that admiration grew into something deeper. Jason began developing strong feelings for her. Leela, however, remained unaware of his emotions. To her, Jason was simply a student who needed guidance and support, nothing more. One evening, Leela sat alone in her apartment, overwhelmed by loneliness and anxiety. Lost in her thoughts, she suddenly heard a knock at her door. When she opened it, she found Jason standing there, injured, bleeding, and clearly in distress. Leela was shocked when she saw Jason injured and bleeding at her door. She quickly pulled him inside the apartment. When she asked what had happened, Jason explained that he had been hurt in a fight with friends and asked if he could use the bathroom to clean himself, saying he couldn't go home like this. Leela agreed. After Jason washed up and prepared to leave, Leela stopped him when she noticed it was raining outside. She offered to drive him home instead. On the way, Jason asked her to stop for a moment. moment. They got out of the car, and he led her to a high spot overlooking the city, where the lights stretched endlessly below them. There, Jason told her he had seen her dancing at the bar and asked her to teach him how to dance. At first, Leela felt embarrassed and hesitant, but eventually she gave in. They began dancing together quietly, but when Jason stepped a little too close, Leela immediately pulled away. Without saying much, they returned to the car in silence. Once inside the car, Leela firmly told him that he was only her student and that what had happened could never happen again. Jason nodded in agreement, but deep down he wished he would never have to leave her. And even though Leela tried to hide her feelings, she too had enjoyed the time she spent with him. She dropped him off at his home and drove away. The next day, Jason's mother noticed a clear improvement in his school performance and asked him what had changed. Jason told her it was because of his new teacher, Leela. Later, he logged into Leela's social media profile and began scrolling through her photos, quietly admiring her. That evening, Leela was sitting at the bar with her friend Andrew. Jason was there as well, surrounded by his friends. He couldn't take his eyes off her. When he saw her head toward the restroom, he followed and waited near the door. As Leela came out, Jason stepped forward and kissed her. She hesitated at first, but quickly gave into the moment and kissed him back. Suddenly, reality hit her. She was his teacher, and what she was doing was wrong. She pulled away and left. Jason followed her home and began knocking insistently on her door. At first, she refused to open it and told him to leave. Jason said he only wanted to apologize for what had happened. After a moment of hesitation, Leela opened the door. Jason came inside and used the opportunity to confess his feelings, telling her how deeply he loved her. He stepped closer and kissed her again. This time, Leela could no longer resist her emotions. That night marked the beginning of their secret romantic relationship, despite the significant age difference between them. As time passed, Leela realized that she had also fallen in love with Jason. Still, she warned him seriously that their relationship had to remain completely secret and that no one could ever find out. The next day, during an extra lesson after school, Jason tried to kiss her again, but Leela stopped him, explaining that he couldn't behave like that in public. Jason respected her wishes. Then he asked her to close her eyes. When she did, he took a gold necklace from his pocket and gently placed it around her neck as a simple gift. Leela opened her eyes and was deeply moved. No one had ever given her a gift with such affection before. After that, they began meeting secretly outside of school. They would go on quiet walks by a peaceful lake, laughing and enjoying small moments together while Jason took photos to capture their happiness. During one of these moments, Leela opened up to Jason about her painful past and the abuse she had suffered at the hands of her former husband. Jason reassured Leela, promising that he would never hurt her and that he would never abandon her, no matter what happened. But later that night, when Jason returned home and went to take a shower, his mother picked up his phone to check it. What she saw completely shocked her. There were photos of Jason and his teacher together, posing in clearly romantic ways. Filled with anger, she went to the school the very next day to confront Leela directly. She spoke harshly, telling her that her son was at school to study, not to waste time chasing after teachers. She demanded that Leela stay away from him immediately. That evening, when Jason came home, his mother angrily questioned him about the true nature of his relationship with Leela. Jason didn't hide the truth. He openly admitted that he loved her. His mother exploded with rage and shouted, "What love? Jason, she's far older than you. She's taking advantage of you." She ordered him to cut all ties with her permanently. But Jason refused to listen. Furious and hurt, Jason stormed out of the house and went straight to Leela's apartment. Leela, however, was also deeply upset. She asked him how his mother had found out about their relationship. Jason claimed he had no idea and insisted that he hadn't told anyone. Leela didn't believe him. Terrified that their secret could be exposed at school and that she could lose her job, she told Jason to leave immediately. Jason left, but a few hours later, he returned, holding a single rose. Moved by the gesture and unable to resist her feelings, Leela forgave him. Their relationship resumed just as before. The next morning, Jason told Leela that their relationship would eventually be discovered and suggested that they run away together and start a new life somewhere else using the money he had saved. Leela firmly rejected the idea. The following day at school, Jason grabbed Leela's hand while speaking to her. Andrew, the sports teacher, noticed the interaction and began to suspect that something unusual was going on between them. Later that evening, while Leela stayed at school late to finish some work, Andrew took advantage of the situation. He burst into her office and violently violently assaulted her. Leela returned home in tears, completely shaken by what Andrew had done. She never imagined he was capable of such an act. That night, Jason came to visit her and immediately noticed her deep sadness. He asked what was wrong. Unable to hold it in any longer, Leela broke down and told him everything that had happened. Jason was furious and demanded that she report Andrew to the police immediately. But Leela refused. Andrew had threatened her, saying he would expose her secret relationship with Jason if she spoke out. The next day at school, when Jason saw Andrew, he completely lost control of his anger and attacked him violently. The two fought until the police arrived. Andrew accused Jason of attempting to kill him. Jason was taken to the police station. When his mother learned what had happened, she rushed there immediately and managed to get him released on bail. However, the case was not fully closed. Sometime later, Jason's mother ran into Leela by chance and spoke to her in a cold, harsh tone. She said, "Didn't I warn you to stay away from my son? I hope this is the last time." Those words deeply wounded Layla. She felt completely overwhelmed, as if everything was slipping out of her control. That night, Leela decided to take matters into her own hands. She went to Andrew's house and confronted him directly. She told him that the school's security cameras had recorded the assault and threatened to officially report him unless he withdrew his complaint against Jason. Afraid of the consequences, Andrew agreed and withdrew the charges. The next day, Jason went to Leela's place, relieved that the case had been dropped. But when he saw her, something felt wrong. She looked distant and deeply sad. Leela then told him that she had decided to leave the town for good. Shocked, Jason asked why. She explained that she had finally realized their relationship had been a mistake from the very beginning. She said that people would never allow them to live in peace because of their age difference, and that what they had was impossible and had to end. Jason broke down in tears. Leela tried to comfort him, telling him that he was still young, that his whole life was ahead of him, and that one day he would find someone who truly suited him and loved him the right way. Heartbroken, Jason returned home and collapsed into his mother's arms, crying uncontrollably as he accepted that the relationship was over. That same night, Leela boarded a train and left the city in tears. She was devastated too, but deep down she believed she had made the right choice. Their relationship was never meant to last. And this is how the story of Before Odarn comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thanks for watching. I'll meet you in next one.